All right, we're going to sit with Leighton in just a few minutes. But if you're just joining us, you are inside the Ministry of Finance's Wealth Summit 2021. We are discussing digital financial inclusion. All right, whole heap of information I give away in Wealth Summit this morning today. Now, as Leighton makes his way to have a chat with me, I would like to get your feedback. All right, so there is a link in the chat. I want you to click on that link. That link leads you to a question, and then you answer that question. Then we're going to read the responses on screen as soon as the results are available. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome for his post-presentation discussion, Leighton Campbell. Good to meet you. All right, thank you so much. So, Leighton, a lot of good things are going, right? Indeed. You have been spearheading a lot of innovations. Thank you for that, and congratulations on the various successes. Yeah, there's a particular question, though. Mm-hmm. Your company has a unique value proposition, and it is that if there are businesses who already have a PayPal payment infrastructure, they can get their payments much faster from PayPal through Mobile Edge. You want to tell us how that works? Well, not necessarily through Mobile Edge, because I mean something that we started doing. Yes. But we pulled away from it because PayPal can be a little bit difficult to deal with. But what you do find is that there are a lot of persons out there who are doing business online and using PayPal, and we don't want to find quicker ways to access their funds. At the end of the day, PayPal is a very funny business to deal with, and we have been there with them, worked with them, help persons to access funds from that facility. But at the end of the day, we kind of pulled away from it. Okay. And focus more so on enabling localized solutions, because what you're going to find is that these international players, the PayPals, the Stripe, highly regulated spaces. Yes. And when you look at tapping into that type of thing, then you're looking at a lot of laws, a lot of money laundering related things, and the fraud nature of the fraud concerns are there as well. So generally, for persons who are using PayPal, we encourage persons to use PayPal who don't have heavy reliance on cash flow. Okay. So, for instance, I have a course that I just launched. Yes. I'm actually offering for free. I haven't started charging for it as yet. You hear that, viewers? Right. It's for free. For free. Right. So if you want to do it, you can actually check out our website, my website, leightoncampbell.com. Yes. And it's there. What's the course on? It's on e-commerce. It's actually e-commerce fundamentals for business managers and entrepreneurs. All right, you heard it on Wealth Summit, guys. leightoncampbell.com. Right. Fundamentals of e-commerce. Check it out. Right. Yes. But I've set up that facility with PayPal. Yeah. Although I have many things that I could have used. Yeah. Simply because I don't need ready access to the funds to reinvest in things like stock, goods, and so forth. So they are different. Talk about financial independence also. Yeah, that, sir. But it's because of the business model, really. Yes. The business model doesn't require me to reinvest the cash right away. Right. So you find that for a business that require that reliance on cash, they need a localized solution. Right. Somewhere that they can have their monies right away, quick access. The other thing as well is that when you do the online transactions with PayPal, you're playing around with exchange rates as well. I don't like that. PayPal's exchange rate is sometimes $10 on top of our current rate, right? Which messes up with a lot of margins and so forth. So for persons who find it adequate, it is there, and that's why I mentioned earlier that there are many payment solutions out there, and persons will choose payment solutions based on their makeup, based on their own ability to meet the requirements of different offerings, Right. So PayPal is there for a reason. Then you have your local solutions with the banks. You have other players in the market who have entered as well, who try to make it a little easier to do this thing. Initially, before COVID, it was quite difficult dealing with the banks. Sometimes even the agents themselves didn't understand the products because it wasn't being sold as regularly. Right. Nowadays, it's a different thing. Okay. Persons are far more educated and they know exactly what to tell persons. And the mental model has changed. The attitude and the culture has changed. Attitude has changed. A lot of persons are still wary about credit card payments and what comes with that and so forth naturally. But the stigma is definitely being improved. Yes. And persons are definitely more
more interested in.
All right, so I want you to answer this question for me, and I'm sure many of our viewers have the same question. So it's twofold. Are Jamaican small businesses able to set up an Instagram shop? And if we are not, why aren't we?
All right.
And how can we?
So we are not, based on my understanding currently, that there are two things that comes with it. It's a location thing, as well as you have to have a certain number of followers to tap into some of these features. So I think, based on my recollection for Instagram, I think it started at 10,000 followers.
10,000 followers.
Or something like that, right? But you're going to find that majority of the persons who you see doing online selling on Instagram are persons from the US, UK, Canada, one of those markets that they typically support, you know? So that's a challenge, really. It's a location thing. All right.
So how do Jamaican small businesses get around that? You know, how do we incorporate services like what Mobile Edge provides into our social media selling?
All right. So that's a very good question. And at the end of the day, you know, as I said, there are many different approaches that you can take. So let's think about an example of an Instagram seller who sells pieces of clothes, maybe have a 9-to-5 as well, and they're juggling on the side, right?
Right.
But they have a registered business, and you know they're trying to make this thing work.
Yeah, man, they might do it.
Right, they might do it. Right. Somebody like that can start with a simple payment link. I shared earlier a payment portal that we did for JT Credit Union.
Okay.
We have a much simpler version of that that allows persons to just send a link.
Okay.
And persons can click to pay. So, for example, you know, you have a link in your bio.
Right, I was about to ask you
that link in your bio. You could easily drop that link in your bio.
Okay.
And have persons make payment to it. Then you have persons who may want to say, let's do an online store. So that when you post on your page, you post the name of a product and you say, search for this product in my store.
Okay.
Right? And persons can go in there and find it, make an order and so forth. The difference between both is really just sophistication.
Yeah.
The end of the day, with the click to pay link, somebody would send you a message saying, hey, I want to buy this. And you say, okay, it costs X amount. And the person goes online, makes that payment, and so forth. The other option where you have your store online means that you don't need to be manning your Instagram chat like that.
Okay.
Persons can click on the link, go to your store, peruse your store, make a payment. And at the end of your day, you can fulfill that order.
So this also works in WhatsApp?
Any
the payment link?
Any facility, text messaging, any facility, any communication tool.
So for those persons who are concerned about the speed of payment, how speedily are these payments received into their bank accounts?
Well, depending on the payment methodology of choice, there are some that take 2 to 3 days, because normally, just like when you operate you don't like them
no,
one
we
day?
don't like them.
No,
we don't like them one day. 2 to 3 days. We don't like them.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can go around it. You know, you will see the transaction come up in your account immediately.
Right.
So you'll be able to verify that payment has been made.
Yeah.
But just like when you use your credit card at the gas station and so forth, it has a settlement period.
Settlement period.
Right. You can't go around that because when you think about it as well, e-commerce payments is an extension of merchant services.
Okay.
So the same account that you use to run your physical credit card machine is the same account that you extend to collect payments online. It's a different form of processing that payment.
Okay.
It has to go through that settlement period. And then you have facilities that go up to maybe a week and so forth in settlement. Those tend to be a lot more lenient. You have even marketplaces who would do up to 2 weeks.
Yes.
Again, dependent on your makeup. You may have some that are easier, some that are harder to get into. You find the ones that actually settle longer are easier to acquire.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, because most of those most of those are what we call payment facilitation services. Right. Where payment is collected on your behalf.
For example?
And sent to you. So, for example, like the Get Paid solution that we mentioned offers that. A marketplace example would be like a Cool Market.
Right.
For example, Q Mall, those persons, you know. With them, of course, you have to get set up and so forth. So it's not just a payment solution, but more so a marketplace solution.
All right. So if we log onto your website, we can sign up for Mobile Edge.
Correct.
Right. How quickly do we get a Mobile Edge? Is it an account?
All right. Yeah. So when you visit our website, we have a pricing button that persons can click on. Once they click on that pricing button, they're asked to fill out a little form
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what they want, because
Right.
at the end of the day, as we mentioned, e-commerce is very circumstantial. Somebody comes to us, and if you have a multinational business, it's a different approach from if you have no business presence, you know? It's a different approach as if you're a 100-year-old company versus a startup. So we go through that process with you. We have that conversation. We do a free assessment of your business.
Yes.
Look at what it is that you need, make recommendations to you, and then you can get set up. Setup process can range from as little as 2 to 3 days to weeks, sometimes months, depending on how big of a solution you need. You know, we have done custom solutions that are,
Yes, I was about to ask
that are global solutions with international patents and so forth.
Okay.
And we have as basic as just out-the-box solutions that are readily available, packaged, and ready to go.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, you're inside the Wealth Summit presented by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. We just got a very informative presentation from Leighton Campbell, CEO of Mobile Edge Solutions, and we are now sitting with him, getting a little bit behind the presentation, you know, the real deal. You know what I mean? That information there, not the one we really want. Right, that is what we're getting now. So if you have questions, send them in the chat. There's also a link in the chat for you to interact with the summit. I have a question here, Leighton, and it is from Ganesh. I think this is Nakti. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So Ganesh says, what about the server speeds and the transaction rates? Will Mobile Edge be housing the servers used for these transactions? Interesting.
That's a very technical question.
Yeah, man, I tell you.
A big question.
Them are big.
All right, so
Yes.
that's a good question. All right, so when it comes to servicing, you know, our mandate is really very simple, I would say, which is to enable companies to service your customers anywhere, anytime. This includes building the infrastructure, hosting the infrastructure, maintaining and supporting that infrastructure.
And you build it for the particular client.
Build it for the particular client. We also have things that have been pre-built, ready to go as well.
Okay.
When it comes to hosting, we do provide hosting services
Yeah.
to our customers. So we work with a premium host provider called Rackspace.
Right.
One of the best in the market.
Yes.
And when it comes to speed, there are different server makeups that you can undertake to optimize your speed. You can have persons who use shared resources, or you have persons who use dedicated resources.
Right.
And all of these things can be optimized to make your processing faster, the way how your page loads faster, and even how you show up and so forth in Google and so forth. You know?
Okay.
Right.
So Ganesh, I hope that Leighton answered your question correctly, because you know what Ganesh really wants, enough, he doesn't know the money nah lele.
No,
in a cyberspace, right? You want it quick and fast
and at the end
in
of
the
it,
account.
Right, at the end of the day too, we do, because we work with different technology partners.
Yes.
There is also, you know, not all partners are created equally.
Yeah.
So you have some that will process a lot faster. You have some that are more immediate than others. Generally, you find that in the worst case scenario, from a processing perspective, it may only take a few minutes as opposed to immediately, but it's generally immediate. You know, within 5 minutes, you're able to see your transaction.
All right. So earlier in our discussion, you mentioned that when someone logs onto your website and they're signing up for your service, there's a pricing table. But you want to tell us what kind of prices are those? How affordable are your...
that's a good question.
Yes,
reasonable question.
Yeah.
So we have solutions right now that we're offering with no setup costs, just monthly fees as low as $30 per month.
$30 US dollars?
$30 US per month.
I couldn't Jamaican.
No.
Right.
$30.
No, for your expensive service, no, we're too bright, right? Yes.
All right, so as low as $30 per month, and it can range. There's no ceiling
Right.
as to where it can go. It really comes down to how complex the solution is that you want to be built.
But for $30, what does a user get?
All right, so for instance, the click-to-pay system, that's a simple payment portal. That link that you can use, all right, you get that, and it's hosted for you, maintained for you, and kept up to date and so forth.
Oh, that's reasonable,
Yeah.
and that's per month.
That's per
all
month,
right, so for that link, can we include multiple bank accounts? So for example, that business person has an account at NCB, one at Scotia, one at FGB. That payment link when that user, that customer clicks on the link, does it present different banking options or just one?
Well, it's connected generally to one.
To one,
payment processor. If you choose to, you can have multiple instances of the same. So if you have an account with NCB, FGB, so you have it with all 5
Right.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you want to connect to all 5 for whatever reason. A 7?
Yeah, man.
Processing payments now?
Well, I know there's 7 commercial banks.
Yeah, commercial banks, but not processing payments.
I see what you mean.
Right. So 5 are processing payments based on my knowledge right
okay,
now. Right.
Cool.
So if you want to have an instance of each, you can, but that may be quite redundant unless it is that you have each one maybe to support a different business, different business unit.
Okay.
Like I said, business is so unique these days that there are different makeups, but it's generally a one-to-one mapping in terms of the setup.
Okay. Right. So as we close out our discussion, Leighton, tell our viewers, tell Jamaica, why is digital financial inclusion important?
Well, I mean, at this stage right now, digital financial inclusion is paramount. At the end of the day, when you think about doing business, whether you're doing it online, whether you're doing it offline, being able to tap into your online banking resources and so forth, being able to be a part of the banking system is extremely important to driving that. Remember, at the end of the day, my firm belief is that e-commerce, internet entrepreneurship can be one of those things that alleviate poverty in Jamaica. Because
I'm glad you made that point.
Right, because there's no barrier to entry. There's nothing special that you need. All you need is an idea and the will to see it through. And with that type of availability, you're seeing where somebody who may have high school education, primary school education, college education, it doesn't matter of what background you're from, there's nothing to stop you from tapping into that.
Right.
And if majority of the country is financially included in the banking system, whatever facilities that are available out there, you will find that generally there will be far more commerce. Why? Because it will be easier. Think about how many things we shop online from the comfort of our home. Sometimes even in the bathroom, we're shopping online, right? In our most personal spaces.
Right.
So what we're saying is that when you think about the 24-hour cycle of doing business like that, the business never stops.
Right.
That's one of the beauty about doing business like that, it never stops. Once you have great financial inclusion, it only balloons that entire ecosystem,
All right, very well said. That was Leighton Campbell, CEO of Mobile Edge Solutions. All right, so they're a Jamaican company. If you don't know about them, log on to mobileedge.com, getmobileedge.com, and look at the suite of services that they provide. They help you to get paid online. All right. Thank you so much, Leighton.
Thank you for having me.
It was great having you. Thank you so much for your informative presentation. Big up yourself.
Likewise.
All righty. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving nicely along. So things are going on. So, in Wealth Summit, we are discussing digital financial inclusion. So, financial inclusion is the deliberate effort by